LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has hundreds of playable characters, but there are a few that didn't hit the roster. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 missing characters in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Hey guys, so before we get into this, I do just want to say that even though these characters aren't in the game, it doesn't make the game bad at all. I still love the game. I just want to point out that there are a few things missing, which is annoying. This is only covering characters, though. I'm not talking about features like character customization or anything like that. So just characters, and I could honestly probably list off like 100 characters, but I'm trying to limit it to 10. However, a few of these spots will kind of just go on a tangent and list a few characters of like a specific subject. For example, prequel Jedi will come up, and I'll just talk about a bunch of those that are missing. So yeah, I kind of try to mention pretty much all of them, so it's not really a top 10 list. So yeah, sure, call it clickbait, but I'd say you're getting more bang for your buck. But without further ado, let's get into number 10. The number 10 spot goes to Ben Quadrineros, who is an iconic pod racer from the Phantom Menace. Now, a few other pod racers are included, which is kind of weird, because Ben Quadrineros is a lot bigger than a few of these. I'd also like to see Eldar Beto and a few other pod racers, but I would like to see Ben over all of these, and even some ones that are in the game, like Morhonic, who I am happy is in the game, but I'd rather have Ben, and even stuff like Rats Tyrell and Odie Mandrell, I think that most people would rather play as Ben. And I think that even like the thing is that this game has a lot of jokes in it. I feel like Ben Quadrineros is one that they're missing out on a lot of jokes for in cutscenes. They could have done a lot with it, but sadly they didn't. This spot is one of the list spots, but I think that a lot of characters from Jabba's Palace are missing, like John Yowza. I think that Droopy McCool would have been really cool. Also like Ristel Sant, who's one of the dancers, and Lin Mi, who was in the game files. But you know, they did Griata, so I don't know why they didn't do these two. And then I guess Yana would also be kind of cool, but you know, there are a few missing. It's great that they have obviously Max Rebo and Cy Snoodles, but it's really sad that some of these iconic characters are not included. Again, this one's just the prequel Jedi, so I'll get this one out of the way, but I think that Quinlan Vos would be really cool. I do understand why he's not in it though, because he was only in like the movies for like a very split second in the Phantom Menace, so I understand that. I think that Stas Ali would have been cool, Adi Galia, Stacey Tin is a big one who's missing, along with of course Agent Cola. Both of those were missing from the Palpatine's arrest, which is kind of disappointing. It was just Mace and Kit Fisto. I think Eth Koth, who is similar to Agent Cola but a different character. Even Peel would have been really nice. I do kind of understand as well, but you know, he would have been cool. I think Deborah Balaba, who didn't really appear in the movies that much, but she would have been cool. Source Bandim, I just mentioned. I do obviously understand that because I feel like players will take advantage of that. Zet Jukasa, who's George Lucas's son, that would be really cool. And then finally, Coleman Trebor, who is very sad isn't in the game. I would actually have liked that one. A big character from the Phantom Menace missing is Sio Bibble, aka this guy.
A communications disruption can mean only one thing: invasion.
Now, Sio Bibble was kind of used in the game, however he is just credited as the civilian and only in cutscenes where he plays a few jokes in, of course, the Phantom Menace and Attack the Clones. They're funny scenes, but it's really sad that he isn't really used that much and he's not playable because he is really funny, and I feel like that would have been really cool to see. Garen Dan, aka the Imperial Spy, is not used in the game at all. He's not playable, he doesn't even appear in any cutscenes, which is really sad because I find him really iconic, at least to even the complete saga where he had like that really cool death sound and stuff. So you know, I find it really sad that he's not anywhere to be seen in the Skywalker Saga, and I presume that means that he's not even in the game files, which is really disappointing because he's such a unique character and would have had some really cool gameplay if he was obviously in the game. A few rebel leaders are notably missing. I'd say that General Donna is the biggest one, but also General Maydeen is kind of disappointing. And the sad thing is both of these are in the game files, thanks to Brick Bros for obviously finding these. All the images here of the ones in the game files, which you'll see are from him. But yeah, it's really disappointing, of course. Aunt Beru is nowhere to be seen in the game, not even in the cutscenes. Owen Lars isn't playable, he is in the game files. So that's all really disappointing. I think that Clegg Lars is also like mentionable. I think he would have been really cool. and like even like the young variants who are obviously popping up in Kenobi, but at least they were in cutscenes, so I guess Aunt Beru's there. But you know, it's really sad that they aren't playable, as they're really iconic characters and probably honestly the biggest characters that are missing. The number 3 spot is dedicated to DLC characters that were missing. I think Omega is the biggest one from the Bad Batch one, and we do know that it is based on the Bad Batch and not the Clone Wars because it's the Imperial crosshair, so it's really sad that she's not included. I feel like she would have been really unique. Also because of the fact that we don't have one in official LEGO form, so we don't know what she'd actually look like. I was really looking forward to seeing what she'd look like, so it's really disappointing that she isn't in the game. I think also from the Solo one, L337, big character from the movie who's missing, also Dryden Voss. I think that the Solo one is missing quite a lot. I think Val would have been cool. Rio, I could honestly go on for a lot for Solo. But yeah, there are a few notably missing characters from The Mandalorian Season 2. I think that the Dark Trooper one would have been cool. I guess he could have also been in like the Trooper pack. But yes, there are some DLC characters that are of course missing. The second biggest characters that are missing are of course the Force Ghosts. I think that you only need to have 3. Maybe, you know, a few from the sequels of course, but you know, it's really disappointing that they're not included. And Force Ghost Anakin is in the game files, which is really, really sad. He's literally just Anakin, but with like a hologram effect on him, so nothing's really changed there, and I think that they could obviously bring them out eventually. I don't think that they will, but it's not much to do, and obviously they thought about doing it. So yeah, it is really sad that they're not included, just because they would have been really cool to obviously play as. Now, before we get into number 1, I think that a few honourable mentions need to be done, and I think that this is basically just all the ones that I haven't mentioned so far. But yeah, no, Lord Santeca isn't playable, which is really sad. I think that Chancellor Valorum, who was also in the game files, he would have been really cool. A thing that I've seen a lot of people discussing is Geonosians, who are kind of weird that they're missing. I think a lot of Separatists as well, some of the Separatist leaders would be cool. We've got Finn with a lightsaber, who is a variant who isn't included, which is honestly really, really disappointing. I think Darth Maul hoodless, but with a cape, that's like a very nitpicky one. There's probably some more like that. I think General Hux with just hair and no hat. There are a few little ones like that. And then like the Clone Wars Palpatine, who with kind of the hood down before he's scarred, which again is in the game file, so it's really sad that that variant isn't included. And the number 1 spot goes to Clone Wars and Rebels characters. Maybe it's a cop-out because they'd have to be DLCs, but it's really disappointing that there is no DLCs for these 2 shows. I guess I'll mention Resistance for the few fans out there and some other things, but I think Clone Wars specifically is one that definitely needs a DLC, and it's really sad that we're not getting it. Of course, in the Mandalorian Season 2 one, we are getting Ahsoka, so obviously they can do a few stuff there. Captain Rex will be nowhere to be seen. There are a few ones close, like Phase 1 Clone Lieutenant, for example, but you know, it's just not the same, and it's really disappointing. We've got nothing close to Cad Bane, and you know, there's just a lot missing, which is really, really sad. I do hope that eventually they come out with one. I really do not expect it, but you know, the fact that they are like number 1 on this list really proves how much we need it. I think the fact that LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens got Clone Wars and Rebels DLCs and this game didn't is kind of my main issue here. And that's just really annoying, because I think that this was meant to be the best of best, and I think that Clone Wars and Rebels is just the thing that's missing. And there's my top 10 list for missing characters, even though I mentioned over 40 characters, so that's fun. And I know that I have definitely missed some. There is at least 50, 60, maybe 100 even, but please let me know down below your ones. I know that I missed a few from like Mos Eisley Cantina and stuff. So I guess I'll stop there because I don't want to mention any more. But yeah, please let me know your thoughts down below on ones that I missed and you're sad aren't in the game. However, yeah, that'll be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. That'll be all, folks. Goodbye.